Perry Municipal Authority, May 3rd, 2021, 6:15. Roll call, please.
Wines. Here. Morrill.
Here.
White.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Dillbeck.
Here.
Bond.
Here.
Coldiron.
Here.
Stroller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. The invocation tonight will be by Josh Bell.
Would you please pray with me? Your wise and loving Creator, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for the many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health that we need to fulfill all of our callings, for sustenance and our friendships, and thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor in bearing appropriate responsibilities. In the scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. So therefore I pray for our mayor, for our various city level officials, and in all in particular for those that are assembled here today. I'm asking that you would grant us wisdom, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, and the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement. I pray for the agenda set before us today, and please give us an assurance of what would please you and would benefit all of those and all of us that live in the city of Perry. It is in your most blessed name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, we'll administer the oath of office to Josh Bell, councilperson from Ward 1, Post 1, and welcome him to the governing body. Sir?
If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Joshua Eugene Bell,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and that I will not knowingly receive,
and that I will not knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money or other valuable thing
any money or any other valuable thing,
for the performance or non-performance
or for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office,
pertaining to my office,
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as city council member
as city council member
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 1, the consent agenda. There is one item, the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines. Morrill.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Coldiron.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Dixie, going clockwise, you're gonna have to give us some. Not quite used to this yet.
Item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the PMA agenda.
I have a couple of questions I would like to ask.
I need you to hold over to the council meeting. Is that all right with
Okay.
you?
That's fine with me.
All right, thank
We got
you.
all night.
Okay, Bryce keeps calling me. I'm sorry. Yes.
Our council.
Hello? Can you not hear him there?
His screen's
He can't,
blank.
oh, he can't hear in the Zoom. Okay, I'm just gonna put you on speaker. Okay, he can't hear in the Zoom, so we'll just put him on speaker here so we can hear.
All right. Comments from those assembled.
Okay.
Hearing none, we will move to item 5, proclamation, commendations, reports, inquiries by the governing body. Hearing none, item 6, motion on the adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines. Yes. Morrill.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Coldiron.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry, May 3rd, 2021, at 6:21. Roll call, please.
Wines.
Here.
Morrill.
Here.
White.
Here.
Bell.
Present.
Brown.
Present.
Dilbeck,
Here.
Bond,
Here.
Coldiron,
Here.
Stroller.
Here, thank you. Item 1, the consent agenda. There's 3 items on the consent agenda for approval.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Coldiron.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the city agenda. If you would, please come to the podium and state your name.
I'm Pete Moore, and I live out off of Frontier on the south end of Perry Lake. And we have a couple of questions, and we've tried to no avail to get these questions answered. And the first one is probably a little bit of a rhetorical question, that we received a letter from the city in the mail on Thursday of last week. And we were given until today under the threat of either accept our final offer or we will pursue eminent domain. And the question I have is, does it seem reasonable to y'all that we've been working on this for what, 6, 7 years now? And we were given 4 days to make a decision. And one of our major problems is the city survey is wrong, demonstrably wrong. And we have tried, because the city has never had any representative, either appraiser, NRCS came out and looked at the elevations, the initial elevations, which were also wrong, and that was corrected, but there's an omission on the northeast corner of my place. You can understand then why I would be a little bit reticent to say, where do I sign? But again, the rhetorical question, does it seem reasonable that after fiddling with this for 6 or 7 years, we're given 4 days to make a decision? Then my wife contacts the city with some questions that I've asked and gotten no answers for. And at the end of the call, she calls me and said, let's go to court. My question is, we have made good faith attempts to get information. It's not that we're against increasing the level of the lake. I understand the necessity, we understand the inevitability of it. We simply asked for information. We were treated like recalcitrant children. We have made attempts to negotiate with the city. They've all been rebuffed, every one of them. And I can give y'all the timeline, but when we were asked to make an offer, we did. And then we didn't hear anything for about 11 months. And when we heard, it was, we are going to pursue acquisition of the land, which was not in the first draft, and the amounts increased dramatically. And so
When you say amounts, you talking about money or land?
no, the amounts of land
Okay, all right.
that was to be confiscated. And I made my point very clear. I'm not interested in selling my land. I didn't buy the place to give it back to someone else. Like I said, I'm not being unreasonable. I have some questions that we, both my wife and I, have asked, and yet they have gone unanswered. And again, it comes back to basic fairness. We simply asked questions, guys. That's all we wanted. We weren't dead set against it from the outset. We had some reservations. The fact that we didn't get our mail until Thursday. You know why we can't get our mail? Because the letter carrier can't get down our road. And when you eliminate Lake Road, you're going to increase a bad situation severity, because you're going to put people on the frontier. And it's a goat trail right now. We deal with every day. So yeah, we had some reservations, justifiable ones. But that just bears out the point that, okay, how can we work together? It was dictated from word go. You either accept our offer or we're going to pursue eminent domain. It was said in the first meeting about maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes in it, before we started talking about eminent domain. That's not negotiation, folks. That's dictation. And that's the way it feels that we have been treated. We have legitimate concerns. We have legitimate questions. None of them have been addressed. None of them have been answered. But ask yourself the basic question, why we're here tonight, for you guys to decide whether to pursue eminent domain against my wife and I and 11 other concerned parties. Because we didn't accept your timeline where you've had years to work on this. And you're right, yeah, we knew it was coming. But I don't work for the city, and I don't work in the city. And so it's not my full-time job keeping up with things that are going on in City Hall. I didn't hear anything, so I rightfully presume maybe they dropped it. It's just as reasonable as thinking, well, they're going to come out tomorrow with a letter that says I've got 4 days to make a decision. So, is it reasonable? That's the question I'd like for you to ask yourself before you make that decision.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Anyone else? We will move on to item 5, proclamation and combination reports required by the governing body. Hearing none, we will move to item 6, elect from among the members of the governing body a new vice mayor. So at this time, we will take nominations.
I'd like to nominate Derek Coldiron.
Second that.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines? Yes. Morrell?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Bell?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Dilbeck?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Caldiron? Stroller?
Yes. Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Item 7, city manager report and monthly project update.
Thank you, Mayor. This past weekend, May 1st and 2nd, was the third tournament at BMAC. This tournament, we had 27 teams, approximately 300 players, and approximately 540 adults. This is pretty much where we've gone, and that's our average for the first two. Remember, the third tournament that we had scheduled was rained out. So we're on a good track. We already have, for the next tournament, which is in 2 weeks, almost 30 teams. And then after that, it's the McClarty Memorial Tournament, which normally we have 35, something like that, teams. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. You know, it's taken a little while, but council stuck with us, and so we really do appreciate that. City Hall is now open, so is library. City Hall is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Library is open Monday through Thursday, 10 to 6, and then Friday, 10 to 5. So we're excited to be seeing our folks again. It's really nice to have the doors open and to see those that we serve coming in ready to do business. So, Mayor, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Last meeting, I asked about the streetlights on Fur. Is there an update on that?
We got them on and they went off again. So they're still looking into exactly.
So they got them all on at one time?
They got it on one side and then they went off again. So,
And it was nice to see them all on that one night. Or whatever night it was, it really was. It lights it up big.
yeah, good. The LED lights really do work great. So,
But I noticed a couple days later, it was back to where it was.
yeah, Brian's kind of scratching his head about that, so.
All right, thank you. Item 8, consider approval of professional services agreement with CBEW Professional Group LLP to prepare the fiscal year 2020-2021 audit. Meredith, you got anything to
Yeah,
talk
we've used
about?
these guys for a while. We like them. They've been good to the city. They're pretty efficient. I think Dixie and her
They're
staff
really easy to work with and
like them.
I remember at one point during my tenure here, we switched back and forth a couple different times, just for fresh minds. But if you guys are happy with these people,
I think
I
they do
don't have a
good-
problem.
I think they do a good thorough job, and I think they're kind to the staff, which
I
is
think they do a better job than the previous people.
I'm good.
very good.
How many years have they done that?
They've signed for 4 years. Does that sound right?
That's
I was gonna say 4 or 5, I couldn't remember.
It may be, this may be
Well,
bad.
yeah, I don't know. When you get older, time flies.
Tell me about it.
All right, let's consider approval of this agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dillbeck,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 9, consider approval of agreement with Noble County, Oklahoma to permit the fire EMS department repeater antenna to remain and operate on the tower owned by Dragon Communication at the Noble County Jail.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell,
Yep.
Brown,
Yes.
Dillbeck,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 10, issues pertaining to zoning, planning, and land use. Item A, receive recommendation from the Perry Planning Commission on the site plan review conducted pursuant to Section 12-286 of the Perry Municipal Code 2020 and the application of Linda Filtz for the new business location for shelter insurance at 502 6th Street, Perry. I know that this went through the planning commission. I did talk to David Payne last night, although he did tell me after all the discussion he wasn't at the meeting. So if you guys have anything to say, we'll turn it over to you guys.
If you guys have any questions, might be a little
Are you
bit
gonna be
easier.
speechless? You're fine, you're gonna be speechless.
Hold on, you know what? First one back, I'm all hopped up on Monster. I'm gonna go up here and see you find people.
You put your code enforcement shirt on there?
That's right. I made this just for you. So we received application from S&W Construction for this proposed business at 5026. I told you I'm hyped up on Monster. It's an undeveloped lot, that's why we had to take it to Planning Commission for site plan review. We received no complaints from any of the neighbors. Matter of fact, we seen some praise while we were out there posting it. Everybody seems excited about it for the neighborhood. If you guys have any questions, we'd be more than glad to answer it. Nope, finger guns all around.
Is that on the east side of the street,
Yes.
on the corner?
This,
That lot's been vacant for a long, long time.
That's Lloyd's Body Shop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be a great addition to that neighborhood.
Thank you, sir.
no problem. I'm gonna stay right here. You guys
Stay right there. You hang loose, okay?
I got all my steps in for the day, so I'm just gonna save them now.
Yeah.
Need to run around the table a couple times.
Yeah, I think so.
Welcome to my
You
world.
can be seated, sir.
Are you sure? Okay, I'll come on back.
Okay. Item B, receive recommendation. Okay, okay, all right. Yeah, let's do that, I'm sorry. We'll have a motion of approval for the recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks. Roll call, please.
Lines,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yeah.
Height,
Yes.
Stroller. I mean, Bell.
Yes.
Know where we're
I
at.
thought you said Bill, I thought you said Bill, I'm going like, well, first name basis?
Brown. Yes. Dilbeck.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Coldiron.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you.
First time to see everybody. I feel like everybody's on one street.
We should have introduced ourselves as we went.
Item B, receive recommendation from the Perry Planning Commission on the request made by applicant Kevin Owen for rezoning his property located at 601 North 9th Street from C1 Light Commercial Zoning District to RG Residential District, which request was made during the public hearing conducted pursuant to Title 11, Section 43-104 through 43-106 of the Oklahoma statutes and Section 12-286 and Sections 12-312 through 12-314 of the Perry Municipal Code 2020. All right, Kevin lives on the corner across the street from Subway on the corner of 9th and Fur. Apparently, by talking to David Payne, all of Fur, all the properties that bud up to Fur Avenue at some point were changed to commercial property. But this specific house was changed even before then. I don't remember exactly what David said, but there was, the lady that lived there had some kind of historical office in that building and or in that home, so they just decided it'd be a good idea to change that one house to commercial. And so it took it out of residential zoning long before the rest of Fur was. And so Kevin's having a hard time selling this one piece of property because of interest rates and banks and things not wanting to loan money, and the interest rates are higher on a commercial piece of property than it would be if it was a residential piece of property. So that's what Kevin is asking, and the Planning Commission has agreed that that's something we ought to do.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Who did the second? Mine.
Aye.
Lines,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Coldiron.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item C, consider approval of ordinance number 2021-06, amending the zoning from its current zoning of C1 Light Commercial Zoning District to RG Residential District for the south 100 feet of Lot 13 and 14, Block 61, North and West Perry Addition, according to the recorded plat, therefore, and with the street address of 601 North 9th Street, Perry, Oklahoma 73077, herein after the property, saving severability, repealer, and declaring an emergency. This is us changing that zone property. Sir, would you like to come back to the podium?
I would absolutely love to, sir. Part of the background on this, I dropped the ball on this. This is our first time doing one of these rezonings. We did not collect the fee for the newspaper publication and the mailing for Mr. Owen. So the staff would just ask that whenever you guys make this motion, if that's the route that you go, that you would make it with the conditional,
Of collecting the fees?
yes, there we go.
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Derek.
Vice Mayor.
Do we have a second?
Second.
He's on it, ain't he? First meeting, man, bam. Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Colern.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Motion on emergency?
Yeah, so moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Colern.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item D, receive recommendation from the Perry Planning Commission on the application of Tina Skinner Ward for a use by review in order to place a 1,152 square foot solitary mobile home on 407 Boundary Street, Perry, Oklahoma 73077, with a legal description of Lot 1 and 2, Block 18, original Perry addition, Perry, Noble County, Oklahoma, pursuant to Title 11, Section 43-104 through 43-106 of the Perry statutes, and Section 12-247 and 12-287D in the Perry Municipal Code. All right, Ms. Ward is wanting to place a trailer house down here on East Boundary. It's there was a trailer house there at one time. She wasn't the owner of that lot. And our ordinance says that, we have two ordinances. One that says that if there's a trailer house there and you own that trailer house, you can remove it and place a new one there. But being she didn't own it while there was a trailer house there, it had to go for the planning commission for use by review. And the planning commission has reviewed this, and they agreed that it would be a use for that lot. And they did have a hearing and send information out to everyone within 300 feet, and they got no objections.
I make a motion to receive the recommendation of the Perry Planning Committee for the permission of the mobile home at 407 Boundary Street.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wines,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell, Brown,
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Colern.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you very much. Item 11, consider receipt of bids for trucks and take action as deemed appropriate. All right, we have, well, Larry, I'll let you talk about this. It's kind of your deal.
Of course, we're in need of trucks. Some of these trucks in our street department, and not only in the street department, but in other departments, have been rebuilt, wrecked units. So one of the goals in this budget has been to get other equipment, safer equipment. In this particular case, we placed bids out, and this is the only bid that we received. We cover this by a grant from the Malzahn Family Affiliated Fund. They earlier this year gave $70,000 for this particular motion here. And although this is not taking all of it, but it's a good chunk.
Do we know why that's the only bid we got? And why it was non-compliant?
It actually did not come in the way of a sealed bid.
Okay.
They just sent Dixie
He just emailed.
I got you.
quote.
Okay.
That's why it's not compliant.
But we did post it.
I
published it.
published it in the newspaper, and I personally sent it to both the fleet managers for both Wadley and Vance,
Nothing?
and no response.
I did talk to Jared at Wadley today myself. He said he can't touch this, nor does he want to.
On the price?
Yeah. I think that this is a state bid through Bill Knight, and that fleet state pricing is hard for them to beat. And Jared said, I can't do this.
Will they still be able to service these, or will they be willing to service these still?
Yes,
I'm sure they will. But
yeah, definitely.
And as far as I know, there was no response back from van side. Now then, here's the kicker that, and I know that we have to get on the list, but if you read the last sentence, these trucks have a 22-week lead time. That's like way out there. That's 6 months worth out there. You know, I mean, I understand that if we're gonna buy new trucks, we need to get them bought. But, and the price is hard to beat. I mean, Jared told me himself it's a really good deal.
You want to mention also, though, these are going to be straight trucks, so some of that money's going to have to be spent on, because he needs the
Yeah,
service.
yeah.
plans.
And, well, yeah, these are just the trucks. Chris wants a flatbed on one and then one with a service box on one. So, and I have called a couple different places just to ask what that would cost us. And they said 10 grand for a box and a flatbed.
Apiece.
So, like Larry said, this isn't gonna consume the whole 70,000. There's another $10,000 or $12,000 probably, you know, coming on that. So, it's up to the council what we do with this. I kinda have a heartache with the 22-week lead time myself, but it is what it is.
For this price.
There was a show on TV last night showing there's a major shortage of computer chips, and it's just that way everywhere. Dealerships are gonna run out of vehicles, and it's gonna be 22 to 30 weeks.
Truck chassis are the same way, so it's not only the chips, but it's also just the chassis themselves.
Just
So,
raw
yeah,
material and everything in general is,
it doesn't-
lead times are getting bad. So,
And at this price, I doubt they want to give us the ones that are just sitting there ready
Right.
for consumers.
You know, I've been kind of just looking around on my own, just kind of trying to find a truck that, an 18 or newer, that would work, just, you know, looking in online, looking places. They're higher than these trucks, you know, because they're available. You know, the demand is there for the good used trucks.
Some that are even 4 or 5 years old are a lot higher than this.
Well,
With
in this,
100,000 miles or so.
and the 70,000, that was submitted to the Malzahn family for these trucks and being outfitted and stuff. So we knew that this would be earmarked for these two trucks to get that replaced for the city.
motion to approve.
Yeah, just one thing. Jared sent me a quote on a truck today. It's a 2016 F-250. He didn't say how many miles it has on it. I think it does. 73,000 miles. 27.5. So that's higher than this truck. So I'm sorry.
Does that still count?
Yeah.
Motion approved.
But wait, is the motion for, there's two quotes.
Oh, okay.
And Critter prefers
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
crew cab one, so you need to decide. I need in the
I'm
motion
sorry.
which.
So do we want both of them crew cab then? Or we want one single cab, one crew cab? I think we might as well get both crew cabs.
Extended
With
cab.
that wait time,
Huh?
with that wait time, we probably better get on it.
So,
What are they replacing them with? Are they super cabs now?
no, they're single cabs. Derek, would you admit that to be the super cab?
Oh, yeah.
Do we need super cabs for sure?
It would be helpful, especially when we have to get a number of guys out there. Instead of just 2, we can take 3 or 4.
Well, the other one's extended, you could still fit.
Yes, extended cab, that's all I'm
One's
talking about. I'm not talking about 4-door, I'm sorry.
Okay, the extended cab?
It is, yeah, they
So-
call it super cab and extended cab, that's what they're
Oh,
called.
is it? Okay. Maybe I don't know Ford
That's a
terminology
crew
well.
cab.
Sorry. Yeah, motion approved. With the amendment of crew cab, super
Super
cab,
cab.
sorry,
Something.
whatever.
Do I have a second?
Back row.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lines,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Thank you very much, council. Discuss COVID-19 pandemic, including but not limited to the expenditures required to permit Zoom calls when broadcasting live.
Looks like we're
Does
all,
this include pool? I mean, it was closed because of COVID. Have we heard anything on getting
Did
anybody?
you get any applicants? We have received no applications for pool manager
Or lifeguards.
or lifeguards.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll move on. Item 13, new business. Is there any new business that needs to come before the council this evening?
Can we go back to your one before about the Zoom calls?
I didn't get to say anything either. But go ahead.
What do you mean by, like, do we have to decide that we want to keep permitting the Zoom calls?
No, that is, Tyson needs $15,000 to allow us to have council and Zoom calls at the same time.
Because I do believe that Zoom calls do add
That's
value
because,
to
that's because we
users.
broadcast live, right?
You're over my head, buddy.
Can we?
I think that's correct.
I
Tyson?
think that's what he said last time, is that in
Yeah,
order to do
we
that,
had this
you need that
discussion, but
money.
I'm trying to
Yes.
remember for sure.
He's coming, I can hear him.
You know, I like to
You've been
sit in the
summoned.
room.
Please go to the podium and state your name.
Not nearly as funny as Brian.
There's a swig.
Do you need a monster?
Yeah, you need a monster, there you go.
So
I like
it is because we broadcast. And because we broadcast, we have to separate the two audio streams. So the new equipment would provide for every one of you to have your own individual microphone and all the wiring for that. Every one of you would have your own individual speakers so that you can hear the Zoom call, but the Zoom call doesn't come in over these speakers and doesn't get picked up on a microphone and go back to the people. So, which will create an audio loop, feedback loop.
When was
Yeah.
the last time you quoted that stuff?
Just a couple months ago,
What you looking at?
it was around 15,000. Oh, setup
I'm
similar
just,
to what
I'm
you
just
have.
catching up, you know.
It's
We
a
might have that in common, so.
TriCaster Mini 4K.
Oh, you mean like the one I have?
Yeah,
Exactly
exactly.
like mine.
Yeah.
It's a super awesome system.
Yeah,
So you do independent audio for both at the same time running through Restream then?
right. So we would have a system that runs Zoom,
Yep.
which would have the audio come out to you here.
All right.
And then the audio here would feed back into Zoom, but the two audio streams would be separate. So we would use, if you're familiar with the,
I'm very much familiar.
okay. We would use audio reentry on one of the channels.
On the TriCaster.
Right.
Okay.
And then we would use a mix minus. So we're using the audio reentry as a mix minus on one side, and we'd use a physical mix minus on my board back there to keep them
Separate.
completely separate.
Right.
So the TriCaster that I have right now does not support reentry of any kind.
That's super.
So, yeah, it is super old.
So
It
the-
is 40. It's been a great machine.
So the 15,000, because a TriCaster 4K usually runs at about
about-
eight or nine.
It's about 9, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're talking about the microphones. Do you have a specific kind of
Just looking at some
big condensers?
decent Shure goosenecks, probably around $100 a piece, but there's 13
I believe
here.
there's, I think you budgeted $119 a piece.
Yeah.
That's about right.
We would need a dedicated Zoom machine just to
Yep.
get the input and output.
There's another couple on.
And each of these cameras will support NDX,
And these are all
or NDI. sorry.
PoE cameras?
Yes.
Nice, okay.
And they'll support NDI natively, but it's a $600 per camera upgrade.
That's right.
So,
So you're gonna do bird dog is what you're saying?
sure.
Systems through the monitors and,
Yes.
yeah.
So that's what the entire system entails. It would be a lot cheaper if we didn't do the Zoom option, but if you want to do the Zoom option, that is. In addition to that, Zoom separate TriCaster supports natively Skype calling. So if it's just a single user, we could do it over Skype, and we wouldn't have to worry about any of it. They'll handle all of it internally, which is part of the reason why I wanted to push for Skype for business initially, is over Zoom, because it could do that without the need for other things. But I don't know that I would make that decision now. Skype for business is not making it happen.
No.
Zoom
They're not
definitely.
keeping that.
So in the future, if, let's say one of us, if we're sick or some of us have to travel and things like that, would we still be allowed to Zoom in, or is that going to go away? Is that,
As long as the governor allows us to.
so if we were sick for any reason, then even though that we're back in the chambers, we would still be able to call in
We could.
remotely as crisis, but that's still going on. But do we have a feel if that's gonna be an ongoing thing or something that will be?
So how would we do that, Tyson? Like this thing?
Yeah.
If Jamie was traveling, she'd have to do this?
If we have the new system, then no.
What if we don't have a new system?
If you don't have the new system, then yes, this is how it have to happen.
I'm not a fan. I can't see over it.
Right.
But you would need one of those for every single person.
For every single person who was not going to be here, yes.
And our current equipment is what, a decade old, isn't that right? Something like that.
Pushing, yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Which is old for,
Do they allow you?
I think it's needed. We talked about it a couple of months ago, and
We're all moving.
I haven't changed what's on it.
How many people do we get signed in from the community using Zoom calls when we were using Zoom?
On average, 1, maybe 2.
But do we know how many we get listening or watching? in other
A lot
channels?
on YouTube and Facebook especially. Facebook's way more popular than a YouTube channel.
But they
You know,
can't talk to us though.
but
right?
even
Whereas
even while we were doing the Zoom, we were getting those numbers on Facebook and YouTube. I think most people, Zoom is an additional step, and if you don't really have anything to say, then it's just easier to jump on Facebook or YouTube. And you know, everyone's got Facebook on there. Everyone who's not Derek Coldiron has Facebook on their phone.
There's a lot of people that have Zoom calls these days on their phones too.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Stuff.
But
So-
I guess the difference is, if you just want to watch, the Facebook is super easy. It's just a video stream and you pull that up. If you need to interact, then that's where you would go with Zoom.
Derek's the only smart one in the room.
We have, yeah. Whew. It's not that I love having Facebook. So when we've had issues where people needed to speak, we've had 6, 7, 8 maybe. The pig thing was really popping. I mean, there was a lot of people wanting to talk about the pet pigs. So that was probably our biggest Zoom meeting that included, people. But for the most part, the Zoom attendance hasn't been any bigger than if we had it in person. So it would give them an additional vector to come in if they needed to. But my personal opinion, I don't think the Zoom thing is really necessary. I think it is very handy to have. I think in instances like this, or in instances where one of you guys is traveling or sick or whatever, for as long as that lasts, that would be very handy. But I also think it's...
But at any second, the governor could rescind that.
You could,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it is,
well,
it's not extremely more. The microphones account for roughly $1,500, I guess. Another computer would be about $1,000. So we're not talking about a huge difference between getting a new system, getting one that supports it. But
what, in the case of your hardware breaks, what are the options at that moment? You said it's worked so far.
right,
But we are pushing limits of.
we are. As a matter of fact, it doesn't work the way that it used to out of the box right now because
Okay.
they're no longer providing software updates for it. So
That's an
the
issue.
included browser, well, it's still running Windows 7, and the included browser does not support modern YouTube So, also I have a separate appliance to stream to Facebook. And that is also not supported by the company that I bought it from anymore. So, this would give, I would be able to do both of those streams straight from the machine.
I guess let me ask the question one more. I mean, I love the information you gave, but
Sure.
you come in here, fire everything up for a meeting.
Right.
You find out something's broke, what do we do?
We don't stream. The meeting will still go on. If the equipment doesn't work at all, then that's that. We don't stream, we don't record. If it's just a matter of like internet access or
That's different.
dead network, then we could still record and I could put it up after the
And that's
fact.
not this equipment that you're
Right.
talking about, that's separate. But
If it happened enough in advance, I could still bring in cameras and do recording. But yeah, without the TriCaster, it's kind of the brains of the whole thing.
So what is your opinion of how much longer do you think we can stretch this hardware?
A year or two?
So within a year or two, we're gonna have to come up with money anyway, no matter Zoom or anything.
Realistically, yeah. I mean, I don't think the hardware is going to die. I don't think that's the
I think
the
this has
problem.
been on,
Yeah, since it's.
It has, it
it's
has.
been several years.
Yeah.
But I also understand where I fall in the pecking order of things that are important.
Tyson, you're important.
No, I'm not saying that I'm not. But
Giving the community a way to be able to listen in, though, I think is important.
I-
If we were
I
going to invest new, I think it's nice to have something that they can actually talk to us
And the
on
option to
versus
talk
just,
to, right?
I agree.
just watching versus actually being able to be a part of this.
But if it's, say, the difference between that or a new bucket truck so that we can still have power for the entire town, you know, a new water line so that we can still have running water. I'm saying that there's always going to be something that comes up.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna
I
say same thing.
completely recognize
I appreciate that.
I'm a little lower on the totem pole than water and electricity.
True, but sometimes it's easier to find money to do that than it is to find money for a bucket truck.
True, yeah, I'm a lot less expensive.
Well, since this is my first night, this is one of the things that I have enjoyed over the last couple of years is being able to watch this online, being able to participate through Zoom. And because you and I have talked about technology ad nauseum, I'm very much aware that the equipment that you have as a city right now is right at the very end of being not supportable anymore. From my personal experience, from doing exactly what he's doing on a Sunday morning experience, he has been making this work probably for about a year longer than it should have been able to do it. And my personal opinion is that and are you saying that you're doing all this installation by yourself?
Yeah.
So the price is phenomenal that we're getting from this.
Yeah, I can't afford 4AV to come out and do
No,
this. I love it, but
You couldn't even afford to ask me.
No.
right, yeah.
He might have you come stop.
They won't even return my phone calls.
I was gonna say $15,000 is to get them in the building, so, I strongly, support your suggestion and recommendation in every aspect of this.
I
But you
will-
really are about a year past the ability of that thing, I don't know how you do it, but it works.
I will also say this, and Larry and I have discussed this, it's been a while. Been a lot of things. Anyway, before I commit to anything, spending money-wise, there is a company in Tulsa where I actually bought that TriCaster. And I'm going to go over there, sit down with them, we're going to test this out and make sure that it's actually going to work like I think it should work. Full disclosure, my brother used to work for New Tech, the company that makes the TriCaster. He does not anymore, but he didn't work in that division anyway, so it wouldn't matter anyway. But when he had a TriCaster at his house during COVID, I had said, test this out for me, and he said, yeah, that should work. But I still want to sit down with experts who have the equipment, test it out, and make sure it's going to work before we commit any dollars to this. So even if it did get approved, it would still be contingent on making sure that it's actually going to do what it's supposed to do.
But if it was approved and the council made that decision, we could go ahead and not have to wait 2 weeks after you made this trip.
Right, yes, I would make it a point to schedule a time with those guys to get over there and make sure that it's gonna happen. And it's entirely possible because the chip market is so hammered right now that
Right.
prices may go up a little bit.
So I think we need a new quote, I mean, to go make sure it works and then come back with a
Yes,
current
absolutely.
budget but it sounds like.
We're not that far out of our budget, putting our budget together for next year, so.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I was kind of surprised when that was read out because I didn't read over it, but I guess that was Bryce. Bryce, is that your doing?
Yes, it's my doing.
Bryce, you gave up on my...
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is that pretty much?
My thought here is, this emergency is going to be kicked down the street every month by the governor until he stops. It's a monthly thing. He just keeps, pushing it a month, and sometime it'll stop. But, this technology is good for your consultants, it's good for engineers, it's good for people that, expertise that you can talk to that don't have to travel there and expend all the cash and money to get there. And then I suppose, and I'd leave this up to you, Tyson, it also would allow somebody that couldn't come to the meeting, correct, to Zoom in and to be heard in that manner. So it's not just related to the COVID pandemic, but it is, it's just a piece of technology. Hell, we're living in 2021. This original idea for PIN and Pegasus was in the early 80s that I did, and now we're in 2021, and this kind of technology is standard in big corporations. The issue is that big corporations don't stream it to the public, and that's what we do. So, yeah, I certainly think that we need to look at this hard. I know we have a budget, but to me, the technology, Tyson has said that he'll make sure it works and all before we do this. It just seems to me it's something that we ought to do. They don't stream the meetings in Concoa out to the public, and yet the engineer will appear, the gas salesman will appear, and they will have a communication one-on-one with the council. And it would just be nice if we could stream that.
I agree. When I initially proposed this to Russ, that was my sales pitch.
Which he does like.
Said, Russ, I need $15,000, and he said no. And I said, what if you could remote in from home? And he said, all right, let's talk about it.
So we need a motion?
Well,
No, it's gotta be on the agenda.
it is, right there on 12.
That's not an agenda item, though. It's not asking for a motion.
Yeah, I did put it on the agenda. I think it's actionable
Okay.
if you want us to proceed in that direction. Larry's got authority up to 15,000. That's what Tyson says it would do. We're just looking for the council's nod.
You can't see us, but I saw some nods.
Was yours in the form of a motion earlier, or?
Well, I was strongly supporting his request.
Okay.
I would change my statement into a formal motion if I needed to.
I would like to go ahead then and make the motion.
Then I would make a motion.
We continue, get the quotes, the testing, and as long as it stays at that 15,000 mark, that we move forward.
I'll second his motion.
Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say one thing. I think it would be important to have, and I am in agreement with it, but I hope we wouldn't use that as an excuse not to come together as a body. I've just heard remarks, people that want to see us together, I guess, I don't know. And I enjoy looking at people's faces. I like to see the reflection. It helps me to understand better and know better. And I'm probably old school, but I still like coming together.
I believe that the governor's proclamation will have a lot to do with that. You know, right now, he says it's okay to Zoom, but he could change that at any minute. It requires us all to be together. So, that's kind of up to the governor.
As the person almost kicked off being quarantined and COVID in our house and things like that, I'm glad to see that we're looking at different options. One, you feel isolated, you can't talk, you can watch it on Facebook, but you can't really interact.
Right.
You can, and even as a active member, it still would have been nice to be able to chat with y'all or ask a question or something, and instead you're just isolated, and you can ask after or something like that, but at least not being able to leave my house, I still could have at least gotten something or a question out to you guys to be able to get it at least addressed in some manner. So even if he does revoke it, COVID, I don't believe is going away, and so some of us are still gonna end up with the flu or anything else, and it still would be nice to have a voice in those meetings where we can't make it.
I
We
think-
had where Meredith and Russ, they both can't make it, and it would be nice if somebody could at least get information to us.
I agree with
A
that.
snowstorm,
Sure.
you know,
Without being
Right.
removed from council.
Right.
And I think really, I
I've
mean,
been threatened.
this hardware is at the end of life,
Right.
and we run the potential that this next meeting, we don't have the ability to have anybody be able to watch it.
Right.
And I think it's beneficial that people get to see it, so.
And I'm in total agreement, I could see lots of reasons why we would need it, like you said.
The other thing about that is, it's not just you in isolation, it's your entire ward that's behind you,
That's-
because
yeah,
you don't get to
you can't
vote
ask
for
any
them.
questions for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
But Gloria also agreed that we need to be here in person. It can't be an excuse not to be able to conduct business and be here for people. But it does also give our community a way to talk to us too.
And I'm
not just watch.
real supportive of it, and I know some of you travel, and it would be good to have you online, you know, even though you're away. And I mean, I see a lot of, I really support Todd, and I really trust him, but I still love tonight better than since I've been on the council.
You might have went too far with the trust thing.
I think one of the biggest assets will be though for people that do business with us. Engineers and things like that, OMPA people and all the other people that have to come here from a distance. You know, we pay Meredith and Russ to come here, so I don't feel so
That's
horrible
right, so
about
they better
that.
be here in person.
But, you know, we do have people that come in from a distance sometimes to talk to us.
There's a lot of times that we've had, and sometimes it's just 5 minutes that they need to talk to
Yeah.
Yeah.
everyone, and they just drove an hour to get here, or they have to wait on the agenda and stuff, and it'd be nice if they didn't have to do that.
Yeah, if Meredith or Russ had something to do and it's a 2-hour drive, you know, and couldn't make it, at least we have that.
Well, they'll be coming up with excuses. Not Meredith, she's half the distance, it'll be the other guy.
We expect Russ to be here, but that's,
All right, we've had a motion and a second.
do I need to put that in the motion about Russ?
That he has to come. I expect
Roll
Russ to
call,
still be
please.
here.
Wines,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bell,
yep.
Brown,
Yes,
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Kolar,
Yes.
Strong.
Yes.
Thank you all.
I will go back and run the rest of this meeting.
Thanks, Tyson.
That the break is done. Right. Yeah, you'll have to come and see.
I think so.
But God, it turned out.
I'm just telling you, you've been told. Okay, we've already been to item 13, we'll go there again.
Sorry.
Any new, no, that's quite all right. Any new business that needs to come before the meeting this evening? Hearing none, we will move on to item 14, consider convening the executive session to, 1, discuss the appraisal and purchase of certain real property related to the Upper Black Bear Watershed Project pursuant to Title 25, Section 307B3 of Oklahoma statutes as amended. And number 2, discuss the matter pertaining to economic development of the city and a proposal to entice the location of a medical-related business to the city to create additional jobs and payroll, as disclosure of the proposal will interfere with the development implementation of the proposal pursuant to 25 OS 307C11 of the Oklahoma statutes as amended. Number 3, discuss the proposal pertaining to an economic development of the city to entice a business to the Perry Commercial Park to create additional jobs and payroll by existing business, and appraisal and possible purchase of certain real property to provide for such development. A public disclosure of the proposal will interfere with the development and implementation of the proposal pursuant to 25 OS 307 of the Oklahoma statute as amended. And number 4, discuss the proposal pertaining to economic development of the city of Perry to entice the location of a residential developer of the city of Perry to create additional residential dwelling units and therefore increase sales tax collection and utility revenues, as public disclosure of the proposal will interfere with the development and of the proposal pursuant to 25 OS 307 C11 of the Oklahoma statute as amended. And number 5, discuss current negotiations with police and fire collective bargaining units pursuant to Title 25, Section 307 B2 of the Oklahoma statutes.
Somebody,
A motion, somebody give me a motion.
I said so.
Roll call, please.
Wines?
Yes.
Morrow?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Bell?
Yep.
Brown?
Yes.
Dilbeck?
Yes.
Bond?
Yes.
Collier?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes.
see how this.
All right, motion to reconvene?
Motion to reconvene.
Second.
I tell Brian, all these people that.
Wines?
Yes.
Morrow?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Bell?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Dilbeck?
Yes.
Bond?
Yes.
Caldera?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes. Item 16, any action deemed necessary pursuant to executive session? Hearing none. Item 17, motion on the adjournment.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
That's all.
Wines? Yes. Morrow?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Bell?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Dilbeck?
Yes.
Bond?
Yes.
Caldera?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes.